Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Badgers Burrow. In today's video, we're going to be going over Super Wildcard Weekend in the NFL and everything, all the games, all the future matchups. We're going over it all. As always, if you go on to enjoy the video, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and leave a like. It helps me out a lot. Also, leave in the comments topics that you want me to cover in future videos. Enjoy, guys. Welcome back to the esteemed weekly recap, now officially on the Badgers Burrow YouTube channel. For the easiest way we're going to do this, we're just going to go through the games as they were played. That's going to start on Saturday with the Colts versus the Bills. As I watched this game, I thought, man, both of these teams really could make a good push. The Colts were playing good offense. Jonathan Taylor was excellent this game. He was consistently breaking the first tackle, getting a lot of yards after contact, and he really showed that he was able to be a running back one in this league. Unfortunately for the Colts, their play calling was a little bit suspect. Frank Reich, I don't really know what he was doing, especially in the red zone, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Phillip Rivers was good. Obviously, he's an old quarterback. He doesn't have the arm strength anymore, but he was able to complete the passes that he needed to keep the Colts in the game. As for the Bills, I think that their game plan was really good. Their defense was sound the entire game. Matt Milano was flying around making huge plays after huge plays, and you got what you needed out of Josh Allen. He has improved so much over 3 years. His accuracy has improved tremendously, and he really managed this game from start to finish. Dawson Knox was huge in the passing game, and I can't help but mention Stephon Diggs, easily securing himself a spot in the top 5 wide receivers in the NFL. Diggs was sensational this game. He had over 100 yards receiving. He was the reason the Bills were able to stay on top and keep command throughout this game. As the game progressed, Frank Reich, I like what he did. He played a little bit risky, sometimes too risky, but in the end it should have paid off. I'm talking mainly about the 4th and goal attempt where they threw what was it? It was kind of a rub route that was going to Michael Pittman Jr., and he just barely missed it. It was probably 6 inches out of his grasp. I don't really know why the Colts went for it. It's an easy field goal. It's a chip shot from Blankenship. I know he missed one earlier, but I think you got to take the points there. It's a close game, and if you don't get it, then you're sending your defense back out there. They've had trouble stopping Allen today. But, with that said, it still should have been a completed pass. Rivers got it where it needed to be, and Pittman just barely missed it. I don't think that was the worst call of the game, though. I think their 2-point conversion in the fourth quarter, that was a terrible call. I don't know why you would go for it. Your red zone offense hasn't been working all game, and you go to Jonathan Taylor. I know he's been your best offensive piece today and maybe all season, but you got to kick the PAT. You have to take your free point. You can go back down the field, and you don't have to get a 2-point conversion the next time. Just get 7 now and 7 later, and you're good to go. As for the Bills, I already mentioned it. Allen played incredibly. The defense was sound, and Sean McDermott outcoached Frank Reich at the end of the day, especially in the final minute, the timeouts, the placement of those timeouts by Sean McDermott to make sure that certain plays were challenged and to really disrupt the Colts' momentum as they were trying to construct that game-winning drive. Speaking of the game-winning drive, I'm going to address the fumble or not fumble really quickly by Zach Pascal. I think if that play is 15 minutes earlier, not at the end of the game, I think that it's definitely ruled a fumble. I didn't see any clear contact from Poyer while he was on the ground, and I think that definitely should have been ruled a fumble. At the end of the day, though, you don't want to decide a game on an iffy play where there's really no circumstantial evidence as to overturn the call. Although I don't even know why Zach Pascal stood back up. He had the yards, he had the first down, just stay down, live to fight another down, and just keep going. But anyways, those are my thoughts for that game. Let's head on to the next one. Saturday's second game was a huge division rivalry between the Rams and the Seahawks. You see I got the jersey here. Jamal Adams, I don't really know how to feel about his game. He knocked out John Wolford early. I can't really tell if it was a dirty hit or not. It wasn't helmet to helmet, but Walford was definitely giving himself up. He was definitely trying to get down and just end the play. I don't really know. I can't say for sure, but I'm going to lean with the referee's ruling that it wasn't a dirty hit, wasn't targeting, and didn't get Jamal Adams ejected from the game. That's really all you can say about the Seahawks in this one, though. Jared Goff came in, broken thumb, you saw it on the sideline. It looked horrible, but he managed the game. That's really all you have to do as a quarterback, especially when your defense is as dominant as the Rams. Aaron Donald and the front seven for the Rams absolutely suffocated Russell Wilson. He had no time in the pocket. He was rarely able to scramble, and the Rams just did an incredible job of controlling the momentum, the time of possession, and the entire game. Not to mention, Russell Wilson made a few mistakes. The pick six from Darius Williams. I'm not putting that on Russell. That was an incredible read from Williams. You can clearly tell he scouted the game to perfection and knew what they were running. But he's not the corner that you're looking at on the Rams. Jalen Ramsey was incredible, proving why he was and is an all-pro cornerback and why he arguably is the best cornerback in the league. Maybe you can say Xavier Howard for the interceptions, maybe J.C. Jackson for the interceptions, but as far as technique goes, you're not finding anyone better than Jalen Ramsey. You have a 6'4 target like Metcalf, and you hold him to 3 catches and 33 yards. That is incredible. Now, keep in mind that's not the big touchdown. That doesn't account for that because Ramsey wasn't covering Metcalf on that play. But in coverage, Metcalf was basically useless. But let's talk about the Rams offense a little bit. Cam Akers was able to keep it steady on the ground. The Rams were able to get enough yards to where they were able to open up a little bit of play action, a little bit of the bootleg game, and that's where Jared Goff was able to hit the throws he needed to. Most specifically, the touchdown to Robert Woods was a perfectly placed ball from Goff, even though he had surgery on his hand 2 weeks ago. I know they talked about that all the time. But I think this Rams team showed a lot. They lost to the Seahawks 2 weeks ago, lost the division because of it. The Seahawks got a little bit cocky. And I think that the Rams really took that to heart. Donald rallied the defense, rallied the offense even, and they were able to escape from Seattle with a win. Obviously, it helped that the 12th man wasn't in attendance, but even then, I still think the Rams win that game. Their defense was just too good. They let Russ cook, and he burnt the whole kitchen down. I'm excited to see how the Rams do moving forward. I think that they have a huge test against the Packers next week, but hey, I wouldn't put anything past Aaron Donald in that defense, and if Goff can just manage the game well enough to where he doesn't kill him, I think the Rams have a real shot in this game. Let's talk about the nightcap of Saturday. The Buccaneers versus the football team. We got news earlier in the day, I think during this Rams and Seahawks game, that Taylor Heinicke would be starting the game for football team. I'm going to be the first one to admit it. I thought the Bucs were going to blow him out. Backup quarterback and offense that's already struggling. The greatest football player ever. The football team has no chance. Boy, was I wrong. Taylor Heinicke stepped up to the plate so well. He played very good football for 4 quarters. His statistics, they were good. 300 passing yards, one touchdown, 1 interception, but he also got it done on the ground. 50 yards there and another touchdown. The incredible diving play at the pylon that had Chase Young and social media rolling around in it. He really stepped it up to the plate, and I think that he was able to play pretty well. The football team really might have an opportunity to keep him, and he could possibly start a few games for him next year. Obviously, I don't think he's the long-term future. He's not young. He's not a rookie, second, third year. But I think they have something there that maybe they can cover up with a Band-Aid and move on if they have a better pick next year and can maybe get a better quarterback prospect in the draft or free agency. I think that football team showed a lot of promise in this game. Antonio Gibson was pretty much bottled up, but the Buccaneers are one of, if not the top rush defense in the league, so I'm not going to put too much credit on him. Cam and Steven Sims both played pretty well. They were able to get open, make the catches when they needed to, but that's not what you're here for if you're talking about the football team. Their defense is very, very good. They have a lot of young pieces, most notably Chase Young and Montez Sweat off the edge, but also Cameron Curl at safety. He's played very well this year, and he's really not getting the recognition he deserves. The football team's defense is very solid, and you have a lot to look forward to if you are a Washington fan. As for the Buccaneers, I don't really know how I feel about this game. I feel like they should have won by more points. Brady did his job. Almost 400 yards, a couple touchdowns. He managed the game well. Cameron Brate was extremely effective. He was able to get open a lot, and he was a real good safety blanket for Brady, who consistently likes to go to his tight ends. Obviously, you have Evans, Godwin, and even Antonio Brown, who were able to make huge contributions. Godwin did have a couple huge drops, especially on third downs, but I don't think you have too much to worry about with him. The defense, the defense was okay. Arians has shown across this year he's really not that good at making adjustments mid-game, but they got enough done to where they won the game. Devin White has been activated as I'm recording this off of the reserve COVID list, so he will be back for the division matchup against the Saints. As for that game, I really don't know who's going to win. Arians has shown his incapabilities to adjust to the Saints this year, as shown by 2 blowouts against their division rival. Brady, I know, will step up to the plate. He's arguably the best playoff player ever. He's arguably the best playoff player ever. Breeze has shown inconsistencies in the playoffs. He's really going to need to play well so that it's not his final game ever. I think that the Saints, we'll cover the Saints later, but I think that if their defense plays well, they'll be able to go 3-0 against Tom Brady. I don't think anyone has ever done that in a single season, but hey, maybe Breeze can be the first. Moving on to the Sunday games where we're going to start in Tennessee. Ravens versus Titans. They've developed a pretty good rivalry over the past year and a half. With the Titans stomping the Ravens last year in the playoffs, Derrick Henry went crazy. We all know the picture of him and Earl Thomas. And then earlier this year, it was a very physical game. Malcolm Butler, Mike Vrabel, Harbaugh, they all got into it. And the Titans ended up stomping on the Ravens logo at the end of the game. For me, and for really any NFL fan, that gave the Ravens a lot of motivation to come into Tennessee and get business done. Lamar Jackson was exceptional. You've heard me say it a lot today. He was a very good game manager. He was able to do it with his legs. He was able to make enough passes, and he had 2 incredible scrambles, maybe even more, that were really able to keep the Ravens in this game and in the lead. People have said it about Lamar. He can't come back in games. He can't win in the playoffs. He can't win against a good defense. He proved them all wrong. He played sound football for 4 quarters, which is exactly what you need out of your young superstar quarterback. The Ravens were able to dominate the game, especially on the ground. Dobbins was good. Lamar had the huge scramble. I think it was roughly 50 yards, maybe near the end of the first half. That was a huge play. It was a ton of momentum for the Ravens. They were able to keep going, a big play from your quarterback, get everyone hyped, get the defense back on the field, make a stop, make a play, get some more points. Tucker did miss a field goal early, but he's one of the greatest kickers ever. I don't think you have too much to worry about on that side. Defensively, the Ravens were exceptional. Derrick Henry was a non-factor in the game, and that is so incredibly difficult to do against the Titans. This guy just ran for 200 yards, and I don't even think he cracked 50 against the Ravens. That is a huge testament to the work of Calais Campbell, Brandon Williams, and Derek Wolfe, especially in the interior defensive line. They were able to keep Tennessee at bay. Vrabel's play calling was a little bit suspect. People say it was conservative at times. I'm not really sure. They obviously didn't take shots because they couldn't. Tennessee's offense is predicated on the play-action passing. And if you can't get Henry going, you can't get the play action going. Tannehill can't do anything. A.J. Brown can't do anything. Corey Davis missed a lot of time late in the game. He wasn't on the field for that final drive, but still, you've got pieces to work around, unless you can't use Derrick Henry. He was a non-factor, and that's how you beat the Titans. If you stop Henry, you stop their whole offense. But that's not all. The Ravens were so good in the secondary, and they were able to get that game done. Marcus Peters had a brilliant interception to end the game, ending all chances for Tennessee, except they could get the ball back. But that's when Lamar took over. He was able to scramble, and Lamar's IQ, you see it there. He knows not to go out of bounds. He knows to stay in bounds, just fall backwards, give himself up. Ball game over. Lamar finally gets his first playoff win. Harbaugh gets his first playoff win after almost 6 years, and the Ravens are moving on. I think they play the Bills. I'm not sure if they played earlier in the season, but that's two really dynamic young quarterbacks, two astute defenses. I think that's going to be a really good game to watch. Moving on to Nickelodeon's first NFL game, and what would you expect? It was a defensive slugfest that would get absolutely nobody interested in the game of football. But hey, it's the Bears. What would you expect? Trubisky played solid, I guess. The play calling was not great by Matt Nagy. I think he should be gone in a matter of days. But Trubisky didn't do much with what he had. Obviously, he made a few throws early in the game that got the Bears on top, except for Javon Wims didn't actually watch the ball, and it went straight through his hands. It would have been a 40-plus yard touchdown, but instead the Bears got 0 points on that drive, and that was pretty much all she wrote for Chicago. The Saints' defense was so good, especially in the first half. Marshawn Lattimore basically neutralized Allen Robinson from the game. I think he had maybe 2 targets the entire first half. That's just a true testament to a veteran defense led by Malcolm Jenkins. He was very good this game. He was flying all over the place. Big hits, backfield hits, QB pressures. Malcolm Jenkins was doing it all. And what would you expect from a big veteran playing in a playoff game? The Saints were very good on defense. They were able to pretty much take David Montgomery out of the equation, who was a huge part of the Bears' success in the last few weeks of the regular season. Trubisky is an interesting player. I'm not sure how much future he has in Chicago. I don't think this playoff game did really any help to him. As for the Saints' offense, they were firing on all cylinders. Kamara was able to get going early. Breeze hit just the throws he needed to. I think he had a season-long 30-yard pass of airtime, which is pretty impressive for a guy like him. His arm's dying, but he's still showing that he can get it done. Their game plan is designed around Breeze. Get Kamara and Thomas in the open field and let them work. And Breeze runs it perfectly. I'm still not sure what Sean Payton's obsession is with Taysom Hill. He's a 3rd and 3 QB power guy, but really not much else. He ended up getting hurt in the game. They weren't able to do a whole lot with him moving on, but I think that Breeze played well enough, and I think that if their defense keeps playing that well, Breeze doesn't kill him, which he might not. I think the Saints are going to be good. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Breeze has had a few inconsistencies in the playoffs. Most notably last year, he threw the interception in overtime. But the way this Saints team is built, Breeze doesn't need to make the hero plays. And I think that that's good. If he can command the game, the Saints absolutely dominated the Bears in time of possession, and that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. If you win the possession game, you're probably going to win the game. Unless you're the Steelers, but we'll talk about that later. Breeze got it done at the end of the day. I hate on Breeze. He's no Brady. He has no arm. But you don't need to when you're in that offense. That offense is built around Breeze and his weapons, and he runs it to perfection. The Bears' defense was extremely undisciplined. I think that's a lot due to Roquan Smith being out. But you saw Pagano near the end of the game. He was pissed. Eddie Jackson jumped off sides in a crucial moment, but that wasn't even really the main downfall for the Bears. They couldn't tackle all night. The Saints receivers were wrestling out of tackles, getting extra yards, and extending drives. You can't do that. You got to tackle. That's the principle of football. Get the guy and the ball on the ground. The Bears couldn't do it. The Saints kept extending drives, just getting the first down by 1, 2, maybe 3 yards at most. And they kept the Bears' defense on the field, and they were not ready. If the Saints play that type of bully ball to the Buccaneers, we might be seeing 3 blowouts from them this year. And finally, the last game of the weekend. We don't have much to talk about here. The Browns just barely beat the Steelers' backups by 2 last week. They don't have a head coach. They still have a lot of COVID. Going into Pittsburgh, this game's not even going to be close. It wasn't close, but it also wasn't what I expected. The Browns came out of the gates firing. I mean, it was mostly Pouncey, and it's rumored that he might retire after the game, but, you know, we learned in Super Bowl 48, if you open the game with a snap over your quarterback's head, good things are not going to follow, especially because the Steelers fumbled the ball around and the Browns ended up scoring a touchdown just seconds into the game. You can't do that. You can't give a team momentum like that, especially when your TikTok star is given a motivation just saying they're the same old Browns all week. You can't do that, especially in a division rivalry. This Browns team has nothing to lose. Nothing. They're a wild card team. They just got in. They beat your backups. They have nothing to lose. And they played like it. They went all in. Roethlisberger was terrible. The Browns were able to come up with huge stops, turnovers. Baker played extremely well. We'll get to their offense later, but the Browns' defense was so good. They got a lot of turnovers early, and they got a 21-point lead in just mere minutes. And that's really powerful when you can get that type of lead, and you really didn't even do that much on offense. You didn't have to. Your defense gave you a touchdown and great field position early. That's really all you can ask for. Moving on to the Steelers, wow, they were so bad. You can say Roethlisberger threw for 500 yards. He threw 60 passes, 4 interceptions. He's done. Roethlisberger is not there anymore. He doesn't have it. He looked lost out there. Their offense, you can't have Big Ben in it. The way they run offense, it was not good. It wasn't all on Ben. There were a few tipped passes. I believe he actually leads the league this year in tipped passes. Ebron had a lot of drops. I mean, obviously, Deontay Johnson, he has a lot of problems with drops. But, I mean, it was just abysmal. It was a horrible performance from a team that started the year 11-0. That's right. This team started 11-0, went 1-5 to finish the year, and they looked so bad. I did not expect that team to play so poorly, especially on a national stage. Primetime football, division rivalry. The other team doesn't even have a coach, for God's sake. The Steelers were so bad in that game, I didn't even watch the second half. It was over. Baker was very good. I am a huge Baker Mayfield critic. I think that I don't know if he's there yet. These last few games, he's been there. His one flaw is turning the ball over, and he hasn't done that. He's been very protective of the football. He hasn't thrown interceptions. He doesn't fumble much anyways, but it's mostly the interceptions. I mean, he's eliminated them from his game. And on top of that, you have 2 elite running backs who can just ground and pound, control the pace of the game, keep the Steelers off the field in a game where you want them on the field because they're so bad. I don't know how the Browns are going to do next week against the Chiefs. I think they have an extremely tall task ahead of them. I'm not sure if their defense has what it takes to stop Mahomes. I'm not sure if Baker has what it takes to perform against a team like the Chiefs. But the Browns are playing right at the right time, and the Chiefs are not playing well right now. They had a scuffle in Miami. They had to take that game over late. They nearly lost to Atlanta, if not for a dropped interception and missed game-tying field goal. But the Browns are playing well when they need to. I don't think it's going to be close. I think Chase Claypool said it best. The Chiefs are going to clap the Browns. But hey, that's what we said about the Steelers. We don't really know. One thing I do know is that Juju Smith-Schuster has to stop giving other teams ammunition. The guy's been dancing on logos all year. He's insulting the Browns. They're the same old Browns. No, they're not, Juju. All you're doing is giving them more motivation to come out and kick your ass. But anyways, that's going to be it for a weekly recap. I could go in a lot on Juju, on Breeze, on all these guys. If you want me to, leave a comment down below. I'll try to get a video out. As for that, I mean, that's really all. We're going to obviously cover the games next week. Might have a predictions video later in the week. I want to briefly address Doug Peterson's firing. Maybe we'll do that another time. I think it was a good move for the Eagles. They clearly need something new. Peterson's Wentz's guy. With no Peterson, I think Wentz is probably gone too. Move forward with Jalen Hurts. The Cowboys hired Dan Quinn as their defensive coordinator, and Bill Belichick will not be accepting President Trump's Medal of Freedom this Thursday. Anyways, that's it. See you later, guys. Peace.